All praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Makar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. This is going to be a lesson on the duality of Yahweh, right? And before I go into that, I'm gonna get the description of duality, all right? So it says an instance of opposition or contrast between two concepts or two aspects of something, a dualism, right? And basically that just means that you have more than one side, all right? Because what Christianity teaches the world is that God loves everybody. But what the Bible teaches the world is that God doesn't love everybody, all right? What the Bible actually says versus what Christianity is saying are two completely different things, man. All right, and let's explain why I'm saying that. In fact, all right. So this is Romans chapter 9 and verse 11. For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Yahweh according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth, it was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. So Yahweh loves one group of people and hates another. Right now, when you go into 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter, it shows you this. All right, this is 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse 54. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also, whom thou hast chosen. All this have I spoken before thee, O Yahweh, because thou madest the world for our sakes. As for the other people which have also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and is like in the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Lord, behold these heathen, which thou hast ever reputed as nothing. So all the heathen nations outside of the Israelites are reputed as nothing, right? So you've got the Edomites that are hated by Yahweh. Then you've got the heathen, or rest of the heathen nations that are considered nothing by Yahweh. And then you've got the Israelites that are loved, right? And because the heathens are viewed as nothing, Yahweh just gave them unto us as an inheritance, as the scriptures say. Last bit of verse 57. In fact, I'll read the whole thing again. And now, O Yahweh, behold, these heathen which have ever been reputed as nothing have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. And that's what's happening right now. That's what's happening right now, man. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. If the world now be for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? And the answer to that question is right now, not much longer. Now, back then when this took place, it was still 1,000 years away, but it's definitely not 1,000 years away now. It's definitely not even centuries away now. And it's not even decades away, the kingdom of heaven right now. Because what's happening, man, is a lot, man. A lot. But the way it has to look for us to see, has to look like they're winning. It has to look like the world's winning in order for the kingdom to come. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 3. Just a quick point. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So it has to look as though the stock market's doing good. It has to look as though the prices are reasonable. It has to look as though the gas prices are down in order for this kingdom to form, and because then that thief's going to come in at night to take all of these things away from everybody. It has to look like that. And that's again showing the balance and the duality of Yahweh, because he don't give everyone the same things, man. Some people are tall, he made some people tall, he made some people short, right? And in fact, let me find that scripture. This is going to explain it better than I can see. Is it 36? 37? Where is that? 1 second, Salakia. If I can't find it on this, let me get the scriptures, the actual book. Sometimes when you try and find these things on devices, it's not the same, man. But when you actually use your actual own book, you remember it by memory, where you placed it and how you wrote certain notes down. This is Sirach chapter 31. Sirach chapter 33 and verse 10. And all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of the earth. In much knowledge the Lord have divided them and made their ways diverse. So that again shows the balance and shows how Yahweh deals with different people in different ways. Some of them have been blessed and exalted, and some of them he sanctified and set near himself, but some of them he have cursed and brought low and turned out of their places. And that's what he's going to ultimately do to Esau, because they've been tricked, man. That our lives right now are horrible and they're miserable. We barely have money. Like, we ain't given respect in this world. Nobody believes the integrity of the things that we say. Our image is the most hated image on the earth, even though this is the image that closely resembles the image of what's going on in the heavens. But people hate this image on the earth, especially the image of an old Israelite man with dark skin and a grey hair on his head and a grey beard. That's the image that closest resembles Yahweh Shai on this earth, if a man has that image. But that's also the image that's the most hated on this earth, because this world hates Yahweh Shai, and this world hates Yahweh. Carrying on in this, Sirach chapter 33 and verse 12. Some of them have he blessed and exalted, and some of them he sanctified and set near himself, but some of them have he cursed and brought low and turned out of their places. As the clay is in the potter's hand to fashion it as it please, to fashion it as his pleasure, so is the man, so man is in the hand of him that made him, to render to them as like of him best. Good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two and two, one against another. Right? And back in the point they made in verse 14, it says, good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. And when you go to, what is it? Wisdom of Solomon. It's either Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter, or Sirach, the 2nd chapter. Let's see which one it is. Yeah, when you go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter, it gives you in the scriptures an insight into the minds of the wicked, right? It gives you an insight into the minds of the wicked and shows that they actually understand the balance of the Lord as well. But they think that they can overcome the fact that Yahweh's righteous side is stronger than the other side, man. They think that they can overcome that. They think that they can overturn that, the nature of Yahweh, man, and they can't, right? This is Wisdom of Solomon. I'm going to start in chapter 1. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 12. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 12. Seek not death in the era of your life, and pull not upon yourselves destruction with the works of your hands. For Yahweh made not death, neither have he pleasure in the destruction of the living. And it doesn't mean that Yahweh didn't make death in terms of that. It means that Yahweh ultimately wanted us, in terms of Israelites, to be immortals, man, and to live forever. This is a statement being made ultimately to Israelites, to seek not death, because we was given the way of life. When Moses was told the laws of Yahweh, we was told that we was given the way of life back then. And in fact, let me prove that. What is it? Deuteronomy 30 or 32, where it says, see, now I have given you this day. Yeah, this is Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 15. See, I have set before thee this day life and death. Life and good, and death and evil. I'll read it again. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. And that's why the scriptures, why King Solomon, who is also an Israelite, was saying to seek not death, right? Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 12 again. Seek not death in the era of your life, and pull not upon yourselves destruction with the works of your hands. For Yahweh made not death, neither have he pleasure in the destruction of the living. For he created all things that they might have their being, and the generations of the world were healthful, and there is no poison of destruction in them, nor the kingdom of death upon the earth, for righteousness is immortal. Exactly. So if you live in a righteous way according to the laws that we was given by Yahweh, then you will live forever. And the laws of Yahweh are actually known to the heathen because they've got the same access to the same Bibles as what we have access to, yet they don't think that that holds any value. And that's why they don't mind eating a tarantula, right? They don't mind casting spells and doing things that are against the law. They don't mind just eating pork like way beyond measure, right? They don't mind that the scriptures say that you're not supposed to eat pork, but they just do it anyway because they don't think that the Bible holds any value. And even some Israelites get persuaded into carrying the same type of evil way. Let me carry on. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 16. But the ungodly with their works and words called it to them. And what is it that they called to them? They called death to them. For when they thought to have it their friend, they consumed to naught and made a covenant with it. So the heathen have made a covenant with death, man. Right? Esau in particular. Because they are worthy to take part of it, and the Edomites are worthy to receive death. In fact, the scriptures describe them in Romans the 9th chapter as the vessel of wrath fitted to destruction. Let me read that again. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 6, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 16. But the ungodly with their works and words called it to them, and they're calling death to them. For when they thought to have it their friend, they consumed to naught and made a covenant with it, because they have made a covenant with death. They love it, man. They don't care. They ain't scared of blood. They love blood. And that's why the scriptures say, since you haven't hated blood, blood's going to consume thee. Because they are worthy to take part with it. And what the thing that they're worthy to take part with is death. Right? And now it goes on in the Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright, meaning that this thought process that they had is not the right way to think. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. But now they're becoming even more arrogant because they don't think that they have to follow the ways of the Lord, and they're even trying to seek immortality now. So they're even more arrogant than they used to be, man. Because they're thinking that they're going to become immortals on the earth, and they're thinking that they're going to be able to transform their consciousness into robots, but that's not going to happen, man. That's going to fail. Verse 2. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is as the smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart, which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air, and our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beam of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning. For it is fast sealed, so that no man can come and forget, so that no man cometh again. But now they're even more arrogant than this, man. But the way how they live their life, the average Edomite that don't have access to the certain things of the elite level, they live their life exactly according to this, what I'm reading right now, man. They live according to that YOLO type of mindset. Verse 6. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass us by. And that's what people say. They say you only live once anyway, right? You may as well get it all done all out of the way right now. You may as well live up your life right now to the best of your ability, because we've only got one life in this world. That's what people think, but they don't have the understanding that you actually get punished back on earth for things you've did in the past. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Let none of us go without his parting of voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion, And our lot is this: let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient grey hairs of the age. And Esau don't do that. They don't show mercy to an old Israelite man or to an old Israelite woman. They don't care. They'll work them when they're in their youth till their spine gives out and they've got a damn kyphosis where their spine's like curved over, man. The top of their cervical spine's curved over, or they'll work them till they've got a damn scoliosis where their spine's like a snake shape, right? They don't care. Or they'll work them till their spine's damn lordosis, man, where their spine's like, I don't know, man, it's like the lumbar part of the spine curves out, man, right? Like Donald Duck. They don't care. They'll work you to that portion till you're like that. They'll have been giving you poisonous food your whole life, right? And then after all of that, they're like, I don't care if you die. And you don't, after all that work that you've done for them, you don't own a house. You're still paying rent after 50 plus years of working in this kingdom, man. Because they don't give people access to jobs that allow them to actually even own anything. So that the next generation that comes after that parent that might have worked in a lower form of job can now start off at a higher place than what the previous parent did, because the child then comes and does exactly the same kind of work as what the parent did in a lot of cases, man, and goes through the same life and dies the same way as their parents did. That's the way how this society teaches, because this society don't care about the ancient grey hairs ahead. These people don't care about that, man, because they understand that the Israelites are the righteous on the earth and that we're the complete opposite of them. They understand that Yahweh made two completely different types of people on the earth, them and us. And they understand that we are set against them. We're their enemy, man, and they're our enemy. The righteous is the enemy to the wicked. And let me get this scripture, because there's a lot of people that say that you don't have to keep the laws. Keeping the laws don't mean nothing, but keeping the laws actually helps you fight against the wicked, man, because it shows a different way of living to what they do. This is Proverbs chapter 28 verse 4. They that forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with him. So every single time there's people that don't want to keep the laws of Yahweh, they're helping the wicked, because they're making it easier for them to rule. Whereas if there was a group of people that are living according to the laws of Yahweh, well then any Israelite that's kind of like, well, I don't know how to be living. If they see that there's an alternative way to what the world's pushing out, then they'll go towards that way. But if they don't see a difference between somebody that's claiming to be righteous and somebody that's professing to be wicked, well, they ain't gonna know who to follow. And they're gonna see that the wicked are flourishing, so they'll go that way. And that's what happened in the time of the Maccabees, man. There was Israelites being wicked, not following the laws, but there was Israelites that was being righteous and following the laws. And all of those people that was of the elect of those times would have followed after the people that was following the righteous way, because they was keeping the laws and contending with the wicked. Whereas right now people say that the law is done away with, and therefore in doing that they're praising the wicked, right? Let me go back to this. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 10. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient grey hairs of the aged. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. And that's what they do. Esau says, as long as my sword can overcome anybody on the earth, it don't matter how much crime I'm committing. It don't matter ultimately. If it bleeds, I can kill it. That's what they think. If they can make you bleed, the way how they see it is, it don't matter. Okay, you caught me doing deforestation. Okay, you got me. Don't matter what you're gonna do about it. That's the way they think. So what if you caught me doing? Okay, you caught me putting drugs in the hood. What are you gonna do about it? Okay, it was us that destroyed that pipeline. What are you gonna do about it? That's how they think. Okay, you caught that I'm selling fake eggs and I was doing fake eggs. What are you gonna do? Okay, you found out that this thing that I told everybody to take worldwide is actually a facade and it's dodgy. What are you gonna do about it? That's what Esau says. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. They don't care if you find out that they'll hide certain things, but ultimately, the way how they see it is that if you ever catch them, it don't matter, because if you can't take them down with a sword, what are you going to do about it? That's the way they think. And that's why Yahweh Shai is coming to wage war on these people, because that's the only language that these people understand, man. The only thing that they understand is violence. And that's why Yahweh Shai is coming to bring towards them exactly that. Right, let me get this. Where is it, man? And in righteousness he does judge and make war. Where is that scripture? Where is that? Here we go. This is Revelation chapter 19 and verse 11. And I saw the heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. So Esau is going to get to experience war more than he ever thought he was going to see it before in his life, man. And this lesson's kind of gone a bit away from what my overall topic was, but it's still all relevant speech, man. Lord willing. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 12. Therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean, contrary to our doing. So they understand that we're opposite to them, man. They understand that the way we live is completely different to the way that they live. They understand that. They understand that we live a completely different lifestyle to them, man. We're completely naturally different to them. Completely, they naturally think it's okay to wear dresses as a man. They think that that's all right. They don't think that that's strange. They don't think, hang on, when you see that visual, that actually looks weird to see. And if you like turn your eyes and you see one of these people, you kind of grimace and you're like, oh, what's that? You kind of naturally see that. If you see that, man, if you're watching TV and they throw a scene like that in a show that doesn't need that scene to be in the show, right? It's not even adding or taking away anything to the storyline. They just crowbar it in there to try and force that visual down people's throat, right? You kind of go, what the hell is that? We naturally do that when we see that, but they don't even bat an eye at that. They think, yeah, that's normal. That's just a slow Tuesday for me. That's what they think. Verse 13, in fact, verse 12 again. Let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean, contrary to our doing. So they know that our way is better than their way. They know that our way is the righteous way. They understand that it's not like they don't know that they're doing the wrong thing. They know they're doing the wrong thing. They don't care, right? And the scriptures give you that knowledge that they know that they're doing the wrong thing. They just don't care about it, that they're doing the wrong thing. And they know that our way is clean. It says it right there. And he is clean, contrary to our doing. So if our way is clean, what's their way? Dirty, right? So look here. Then their way is dirty. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objective to our infamy, the transgressions of our education. And that's what we always point out to these people that try and come at the Bible and they're lying. We always let them know that you try and say you're about the Lord, but then why aren't you keeping the things that the Lord said? We let them know that all the time. He professeth to have the knowledge of God, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our thoughts. So they understand that we was made to rebuke them. And what does the scripture say? Let's get it. This is Jeremiah chapter 28 and verse 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and evil and pestilence. The prophet which prophesieth of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that Yahweh have truly sent him. So people that are speaking about how, it's going to be all right. Yeah. But people that are speaking, listen, man, a Karagma's coming. No, listen up. Riots are coming. Listen. A great war is coming. Listen. UFOs are coming to the earth. What the world calls UFOs are coming to the earth. The people that are saying these things versus the people that are saying, nah, man, you're gonna get that career, you're gonna get that job, right? Nah, listen, man, if you just do exercise enough a day, right, and you get yourself 6 figures a year, right, and you get yourself a beard and you get yourself a nice social group and you start networking, you become a high value man. All the people that are saying all these different things, well, we're gonna get to see which ones telling the truth and which one's a liar. We're gonna get to see which one was prophesying lies and which one was prophesying deceit. Because if destruction comes, then the people that was talking about destruction were telling the truth according to the Lord. But if prosperity comes, then the people that was talking about prosperity, then they were telling the truth, right? So we're gonna get to see which one it is that happens, which one it is that comes to pass. Is it gonna be is it gonna be destruction, or is it gonna be peace? Right? Which one is it that's gonna come? Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 14. He was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous unto us even to behold, for his life is not like other men's. His ways are another fashion. And every single time, man, when the Israelites, one of the main things that always made the Israelites stand out was that they had a laws diverse to other people. And this isn't no lesson to keep promoting the law all the time, but the laws of Yahweh is what's going to cause us to be seen as wise in front of the rest of the nations, man. Because they're going to have seen and examined every kingdom prior. And they're going to see what the laws do to us when we follow them perfectly. And they're going to know that if there was ever a way to follow, that this was it. They're going to know that there ain't that is actually an optimal way. Because what people try and make out like in this world is that there's many different ways that we can live, but there's actually an optimal way that you're supposed to live on earth. And that perfect way is the laws of Yahweh. Verse 16, we are esteemed of him. In fact, verse 15, he is grievous unto us even to behold, because they don't like even seeing us, man. For his life is not like other men's, his ways are of another fashion. We are esteemed of him as counterfeits. He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness. He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed, and make of his boast that Yahweh is his father. And that point at the beginning of that scripture, that we abstain from the ways as from filthiness, we do, man. We don't want to be like Esau in this world, man. Whereas other people in this world, they, especially Moab, they're all about copying that. How does it describe it, man? Let me find it. It says he's let me just find it. There's no need to try and quote it. Let me find exactly what it says. Because Moab's the main copier of Esau's ways, man. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 46. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 46. And thou, Asia, thou art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers. Right? Verse 48. That's the last bit on that. That they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. Verse 48. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore, saith Yahweh, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. So that's what's coming to the Moabites and to the Ammonites, man. That's the things that's coming to them, because they've copied, unlike us, the Israelites, they've copied Esau in every single thing, man. So Esau comes up with a scam and something deceitful, and they'll copy it, man. They copy everything, man. So Esau will have a Tesla, they'll have Neo, right? Esau will have WhatsApp, they'll have WeChat or something like that, right? They'll always have an opposite of what Esau's got, man. They always copy everything that he does. Even in the anime flipping cartoons and all that, when they draw themselves with blonde hair and blue eyes, and they draw their characters looking like Esau. The characters don't even look like them. Not even a little bit. Very rarely, man. Then most of the time the characters on all the main things that they make like that look like Edomites. It don't make no sense, man. They want to be them so badly, you know? But then at the same time they hate the Israelites. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 17. Let us see if his words be true. Let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. And that's why ultimately when that real revelation that their kingdom is at the end comes, they're gonna go full in, man, with what they want to do. They're gonna just come for everybody that they can get their hands on, man. And that's why, man, at that time, you're gonna wish that you was beamed up in a chariot, man. When the Israelites get beamed up in them chariots, the Edomites are still gonna exist at that point. So at that particular time, anyone that they can get their hands on, man, and even prior to that, anyone that they can try and get their hands on to get their last little digs in before they start getting destroyed, they're gonna go in on them people, man. It's gonna, man. Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that ye have but a short time. So you ain't gonna want to even be on the earth at that time, man. And rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them, because there's gonna be Israelites that are dwelling up there at that time, man. And there's gonna be the Israelites that spirits haven't came back through bodies yet. But there's gonna be Israelites that have been beamed up in that time. There's gonna be some, man. In fact, let me read it. Revelation chapter 12, verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power. And the kingdom of our power. And the kingdom of our power and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. And he overcame them by the Salakia, man. And he overcame them by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they love not their lives unto death. So that's talking about the Israelites that are going to be beamed up at that time. But there's still going to be Israelites that are going to be down here that didn't get that, man. And those are going to be the ones that are going to have to deal with Esau at the worst state, man. Because whereas Israelites that try and believe in the Lord to the best of their ability and that are trying to fight, man, we're still going to see evil from Esau. But at the time where the Israelites get beamed up, there's still going to be Edomites, man, still doing things, man. There's still going to be a whole bunch of stuff taking place. There's still going to be loads of things going on, man. Loads of things, like things that we don't even know everything that they're going to be doing. Don't even know everything, man. They're going to be going mad. They're going to be showing exactly who they are. They might even start confessing that they're Edomites at that time, man. Might be saying, yeah, I'm an Edomite and I'm here to take you out, you damn Israelite, and just start running at people that are still running around thinking that they're black. Although at that point in time, what am I talking about? At that point in time, man, they're going to know that they ain't black. They're going to know exactly that it was true that there was Israelites, man. Everyone's going to know exactly who the Israelites at that time, man. And those Israelites that are going to still be on the earth, they're the Israelites that would have been rejected, man. A lot of them. So that Yahweh is going to allow people to lay their hands on them, man, and get them. Let me carry on reading this. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 17. Let us see if his words be true. Let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. And that's why they're getting ready to try and come after the Israelites of the elect, man. For if the just man be the son of Yahweh, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. And they already did that to Yahweh Shai, man. And guess what? After they did it, they found out that Yahweh Shai was telling the truth about who he was. And they was all terrified. And Yahweh Shai ain't forgot what they did to him, man. Yahweh Shai ain't forgot. It wouldn't even matter if every single person on earth forgot. Yahweh Shai ain't forgot about that. And that's why it makes it known, it's personal between Yahweh Shai and those people that pierced him. It's personal, man. It makes a personal call out to those two individuals, to the people. I think I'm going to say those two, to those people that pierced him. This is Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so. Amen. So those people that pierced him are going to have to see the Lord, man. And that's going to, when that revelation comes back to their mind and they wake up again to realize, and their spirit stirred up to remember who they are and that they did that, those people are going to be terrified. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 18. For if the just man be the son of God, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. And in some places, Yahweh is going to deliver us from the hands of our enemies, but some people's lives are going to be given so that certain prophecies can be fulfilled. But that doesn't mean that those people are rejected by the Lord. In fact, it's a higher honor in some cases that people are going to go through that, man. Because what did Yahweh Shai go through? And can we say that Yahweh, if being punished by the Lord means that you're hated by the Lord, that would mean that Yahweh Shai would be the most hated Israelite of all times. But obviously, that's not the case, because Yahweh Shai is the most loved of Yahweh. Yet he went through the worst on earth, even still now. There's still not been no one that's had anything worse happen to them. Imatel went through a lot, but that was nothing compared to what Yahweh Shai went through. That was nothing. And he died for his own sins, ultimately. He died for his own sins. Whereas Yahweh Shai died for everyone's sins. And some people might say, oh, you can't say that he died for his own. No, he did. He did die. What happened to him was horrible. But that was for his own sins. And he's going to be in the kingdom and get to punish Edomites for what happened to him anyway. So that's all right, man. Because Yahweh isn't evil. If he's in control of life and death and bringing people back on the earth or taking them away, he ain't evil if he makes a man go through a horrible life, because he can bring them back again anyway, and in the next lifetime give them a way better, 10 times, 20 times better, infinite times better life than they had in all their previous lives, man. And that's ultimately the kingdom of heaven, that every single Israelite's going to have completely better lives than they had in all their lifetimes. Some are going to have that blessings to everlasting life, and some are going to have the beautified lifestyles to everlasting shame and contempt, because then they're going to feel unworthy for having it, because in the time that we're in right now, they failed in the task of not receiving the Karagma and showing faith in the Lord when it seems hopeless. Let me carry on in this. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 19. Let us examine him with his spitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he will be respected. Such things did they imagine and were deceived, for their own wickedness of blinding them. And that's what wickedness can do, man. Being wicked blinds you, man. Especially if you get away with it, man. You've had some. I was watching not watching. I was listening about, right, doing some research into that one guy, man, Escobar, right, and he was making 50 million a day. I read he was making 50 million a day, man, and was worth like 37 billion, right? But how did his life end? Did it not end by death, by the sword, right? But he got away with a whole bunch of things, man, and there's been other men that have got away with a whole bunch of things too. But the way how it always ends is evil, because it was an evil life. It was an evil life, man, and Esau's not going to go different. He's going to have to drink of the cup the same as everybody else. Verse 21, such things did they imagine and were deceived, for their own wickedness of blinding them, and wickedness can blind, man. Because doing wickedness in a world that's wicked causes you to get money. So as you're doing these things, you're running around and you're boastful, right? But then all those people that try and live that way of life, anyway, that gang type way and those evil ways, it always ends bad. And that's what the scriptures say. There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death, right? For God created man to, verse 22, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 22. As for the mysteries of God, they knew them not, neither hoped they for the wages of righteousness, nor discerned their reward for blameless souls. And that's why Esau hates righteousness, man. They hate it. They do not like doing the right thing. They despise it, man. They find the Bible a joke. They've had access to the Bible for hundreds of years, man. 5+ centuries, right? They've had access to the Bible when they tried to steal it from us during the time of the Maccabees. They rejected it. They hated it. They knew about the laws of the Lord and was aware that we had different laws during the time of Haman and Xerxes. They hated it back then too. They've always hated righteousness, man. They've always been despisers of the right way. They've always been, man. Going back to Genesis in the beginning, man. Verse 23. For God created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity. Now, I didn't even plan on making this lesson be that long, and I was mainly wanted to read from Romans 9, the 9th chapter, about how Yahweh made some people to be vessels of mercy and some to be vessels of wrath. So I'll read that now, and then I'll end the lesson, right? And hopefully these things made some people hear about some things that they hadn't heard about before within the scriptures, about how Yahweh deals with both sides, right? This is Romans chapter 9 and verse 23. In fact, Romans chapter 9 and verse 21. Have not the potter power over the clay, of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? What if Yahweh, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy which he had afore prepared unto glory? So what that's saying is that, what if God made from one man, or from one vessel in this case, which really is one man, and that vessel's being Isaac, right? What if he made from that one man people that he was going to love and people that he was going to hate, and the people that he was going to hate was going to be dishonored, and the people that he was going to love was going to be honored, and he was going to, no matter what, have mercy on those that he honored and that he loved, and no matter what, he was going to have dishonor and hatred and show wrath to those people that he hated, right? And that's exactly what he has done, because he's used the Edomites and the Israelites to show two completely different sides of himself, man, to show his love and to show his hate, to show his wrath and to show his everlasting mercy, so that everybody on the earth can fear him, and so that his name might be declared throughout all the earth, right? And I'm going to end the lesson there. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect to the nation of Israel. Shalom.